Welcome back to the deep dive. If you've ever sat in a meeting or maybe applied for a role, even just pitched an idea and felt that sort of crushing weight of being underestimated, well, this deep dive is definitely built for you.
Yeah.
We've dug into a pretty powerful source, the Handbook for Overcoming Underestimation, and our mission today, it's simple, really. Give you the tactical shortcut, the
Yeah.
core strategies for, gaining confidence and assertiveness when you're facing that skepticism.
And that handbook, it's really a goldmine
Mm-hmm.
because it doesn't just offer like feel-good platitudes. It actually offers strategy.
Right.
And
Strategy.
we found the whole methodology really rests on three key pillars for taking control. First, there's the essential internal work, building that self-belief.
Okay.
Second, shifting your mindset and your behavior into, well, measurable action.
Measurable. Okay.
And third, strategically managing your social environment, which is huge.
And crucially, the outcome isn't just like feeling better inside. The ultimate goal here is to assertively communicate your worth, your needs, making sure that your actual accomplishments, the measurable stuff, speak so clearly that any, prior skepticism just becomes irrelevant.
Exactly. It's about building that unassailable record.
It really is. Okay, let's unpack this. So the journey, it really has to start internally, doesn't it? The sources, they make a very strong case that self-belief is like the only sustainable fuel.
Mm-hmm.
And it starts not with wishful thinking, but with hard data, actively recognizing your strengths.
And when they say actively, they really mean using a specific tool. The handbook introduces something they call the competence inventory.
Competence.
Inventory, okay. And this is way more rigorous than just, listing things you think you're good at. It actually requires you to document skills across three categories.
Three.
Yeah. Innate talents, learned capabilities, and specialized knowledge. And this can range from like professional software stuff to something really niche like advanced gardening techniques or something.
Why is listing the niche stuff so important, though? I mean, people tend to focus only on their job description strengths,
That's a great point. It's because underestimation often attacks your whole identity, not just, your resume points.
Oh, okay.
So by including things like maybe your ability to solve complex puzzles or organize a massive family event, whatever it is, you create this holistic, kind of undeniable internal record of competence.
Right.
And this documented inventory, it serves as your objective shield against self-doubt. It proves you're capable in like multiple domains.
Okay, speaking of self-doubt, once you have that inventory, you've got to protect it, right? From the most aggressive threat, that negative self-talk.
Oh, yeah.
We all kind of know we should challenge negative thoughts, but how does this source make that tactical, not just abstract advice?
This is where the handbook gets really specific, and I found this fascinating. It introduces the fact versus fiction grid.
Fact versus fiction grid.
Yeah. The process is, well, it's pretty brutal but effective. Every time a negative thought pops up, like, say, I'm not prepared for this presentation, you actually have to write it down. Physically write it.
Write it down.
And assign it a category. Then you actively seek empirical evidence facts for that thought.
So if the thought is, I'm going to fail, but the fact is, hang on, I practiced this pitch 5 times yesterday, the grid forces you to separate those.
Exactly. You're basically turning these internal narratives into testable hypotheses.
Oh.
And if the thought has no factual basis, the grid forces you to reframe it. You have to turn it into a statement that's positive, realistic, and rooted in your actual competence inventory.
Okay.
It's a mechanism, really, for demanding proof from your own brain. This active reframing stops those negative scripts just running on autopilot,
I really appreciate that emphasis on like practical action over just sitting and thinking about it. It's about building momentum, isn't it? The source suggests integrating these small, achievable goals, daily or weekly stuff, to build tangible proof that, hey, you can accomplish things, like creating micro successes.
They actually call that proof stacking.
We're stacking. I like that.
Yeah. And the goal isn't necessarily some huge career leap right away. It's about proving consistency to yourself.
Right.
Did you stick to your commitment to read, say, 20 pages? Did you complete that small work task ahead of schedule? Every success, no matter how tiny, it just stacks up. It's objective evidence against that feeling of being ineffective.
Okay, but what happens when the proof stack, collapses? Because setbacks, they're just inevitable. Everyone faces them.
Right. And that's where self-compassion becomes strategic. It's not about being soft.
Strategic self-compassion.
Oh, yeah. The handbook advises you analyze the setback with the same kind of Non-judgmental curiosity you'd apply if a friend was telling you about their situation.
Ah, so you detach a bit.
Exactly. This stops the setback from just morphing into more internal proof of failure.
So instead of thinking, oh, I knew I couldn't do this, you're asking, okay, what data did this setback give me? What do I need to adjust for the next try?
Precisely. You view obstacles not as proof of your limits, but as critical opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they force you to build genuine resilience, sure, but maybe more importantly, they become public demonstration opportunities.
Public demonstration.
Yeah. When you navigate a challenge successfully, especially after a stumble, you demonstrate capabilities that maybe skeptics never saw coming.
That distinction, moving from just building resilience internally to actually demonstrating resilience externally, that feels like the perfect bridge to the next pillar, external action and behavior.
Hmm.
We've sort of solidified the internal foundation. Now it's about projecting that strength outward. Here's where it gets really interesting. Translating belief into visible performance.
Right. And the first critical shift here is establishing what they call a growth mindset. Now, this sounds simple. Maybe we've heard it before, but it's intensely difficult in practice.
How's...
Well, a fixed mindset basically believes abilities are static.
Yeah.
You're either smart or you're not, good at something or you aren't.
Yeah, born with it or not.
Exactly. But the growth mindset views every ability as something that can be radically developed through dedication, through hard work. It's not fixed.
And the handbook really stresses this isn't just some motivational poster slogan, is it?
Not at all.
I mean, if you truly believe your skills are fixed, why would you try hard when things get tough? You just think, well, this is my limit.
Exactly. But if you see effort as the primary driver of development, then obstacles, challenges, they become like mandatory training sessions.
Yeah.
Essential.
Okay, I see.
And this shift, it demands patience, especially when you're facing external judgment, people underestimating you. The growth mindset lets you interpret their doubt not as like an accurate assessment of your potential ceiling,
Right.
but just as a snapshot of your current state.
Mm-hmm.
And crucially, a state that is guaranteed to change through effort.
And this automatically helps get rid of that really toxic habit, the comparison trap.
Oh, absolutely.
If you're focused on your own effort, your own development, you're only measuring your progress against your past self.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. You just step off that treadmill of constantly trying to measure up to someone else's perceived perfection or whatever.
Yeah, that's freeing.
So when that mindset is kind of running in the background, the next step is applying it through assertiveness.
Okay, assertiveness.
And the sources introduce a technique called clarity mapping for communication. Now, this isn't about being aggressive or, dominating conversations.
No.
No, it's about expressing your thoughts and your needs clearly, respectfully, but crucially, without apology or qualification.
Okay, can you give us a quick example? Clarity mapping in action.
Sure. So instead of saying something like, I'm sorry, but maybe we should possibly consider option B because I sort of think it might work better, which just minimizes your input. Really.
Yeah, totally weakens it.
Clarity mapping dictates a statement more like, okay, based on the Q3 data review, option B addresses the critical flaw in scalability that option A presents. We should proceed with option B.
Wow. Okay. The difference is immediate. One is almost seeking permission.
Right.
The other is stating a conclusion based on evidence. Bam.
And that clarity is just crucial. It helps you feel more positive about yourself because you've actually honored your internal assessment, your work,
Yeah.
and it radically improves how others perceive you. They start dealing with you based on your stated competence, not on your hesitation.
This behavior, it feels like it naturally leads to the ultimate piece of advice in this section. Focus entirely on achieving your goals and let your actions speak for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
This feels like the real culmination of all the internal and external work.
It really is the ultimate expression of confidence. When you focus solely on delivering results, not on getting bogged down debating the doubters, your success, your achievements, they naturally speak louder than any doubt anyone had.
Makes sense.
The handbook suggests a mechanism for this called the minimum viable demonstration, or MVD.
MVD. Okay, like minimum viable product in tech, but for demonstrating capability.
Precisely. Instead of, say, spending 6 months quietly building the perfect massive project just to silence critics.
Right, which might never happen.
Exactly. Instead, you identify the smallest, fastest, most impactful public demonstration of your ability related to that goal.
Okay. Small, fast, impactful.
Deliver that MVD, let that specific success validate you publicly, and then just move on to the next goal. You basically eliminate the need for lengthy arguments by providing these undeniable proof points along the way.
Okay, so we've built the internal confidence. We've started changing our external behavior with things like assertiveness and MVDs. But let's be realistic. Behavior change is incredibly hard if your immediate social circle is constantly like dragging you back down.
You're absolutely right. This brings us to the third pillar, environmental management.
And managing the environment.
This is so often the neglected pillar, isn't it?
Mhm.
If you're just getting constant negative feedback, it almost doesn't matter how good your fact versus fiction grid is.
Mhm.
The sheer cognitive load of constantly fighting discouragement, it's just exhausting.
Totally.
So the handbook basically states that curating your environment is critical for sustained growth. You have to protect the progress you've made.
So we need to build positive relationships. That sounds good, but how strategic does the handbook suggest we actually get with this?
Oh, very strategic. It's
Yeah.
not just about, spending time with generally nice people.
Right.
It's about intentionally building positive relationships with people who actively reflect your aspirational identity back to you.
Reflect your aspirational identity. What does that mean exactly?
It means finding people who genuinely see your potential, not just your past mistakes or current struggles.
Yeah.
People who encourage the growth. This reinforcement group, it needs to be intentional. You seek them out.
And that network, it can extend beyond just your work life, right? The source emphasizes finding like-minded groups too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Connecting with people who share your core interests, maybe through a specialized course or a volunteer role, even an online forum for an advanced hobby
Okay.
that provides necessary validation from a different sphere. It confirms that the areas of competence you listed in your inventory, they are actually valued and understood by others. It strengthens your sense of identity outside the maybe critical gaze of those specific people who underestimate you.
But what about the people we can't just avoid? That difficult colleague, maybe a certain family member, that long-standing critic who's always there. How do we protect the work we've done internally?
Yeah, this requires active protection, and that means setting firm, non-negotiable boundaries.
Boundaries. Okay.
The handbook offers a strategy here called the buffer zone protocol.
Buffer zone protocol. Sounds serious.
It kind of is. This protocol basically dictates that when you're dealing with consistent doubters, people who always underestimate you, you minimize any non-essential contact.
Minimize contact.
And when contact is necessary, you enforce purely transactional interactions.
Transactional interactions. So like
Yeah.
strictly business, no emotional investment, that kind of thing.
Correct. If someone consistently undermines you, you just don't engage in emotional debate with them.
Yeah.
You don't seek their approval. You don't try to convince them.
Right.
You enforce boundaries by clearly stating what you will or won't discuss, what's acceptable, and then you remove yourself from the conversation if those boundaries get crossed.
Okay. That takes strength.
It does, but it protects your emotional energy, which is
Right.
vital. And it reinforces the self-respect you've been diligently building. It sends this really powerful nonverbal message. Essentially, I value my peace and my progress more than I value your opinion of me.
Wow. That brings us to what feels like the most powerful, maybe final piece of environmental advice regarding external validation.
Mhm.
We often do subconsciously wait for someone else to kind of stamp our passport before we launch something new or take a risk.
And the handbook is absolutely uncompromising on this point. Stop waiting for
Just
approval.
go.
This is framed as the final declaration of independence, really. You've done the internal assessment with your inventory. You've used the fact versus fiction grid. You know your strengths.
Mm-hmm.
If you wait for external validation from people, especially the doubters, you're essentially handing the keys to your life right over to them.
Yeah, you're giving away control.
Completely. So the advice is start taking action based on what you know about yourself right now, today,
Yeah.
without seeking permission from anyone.
This has been incredibly tactical, actually, moving all the way from those internal thought mechanisms like the inventory and the grid
Yeah.
to the external performance metrics like clarity mapping and MVDs, and finally to controlling the environment with supporters and buffer zones. So what does this all mean?
Great question.
We've outlined these three core kind of integrated areas for you, the listener.
Yep.
First, that internal confidence building,
Right, the foundation.
using frameworks like the competence inventory and the fact versus fiction grid. Second, those behavioral shifts adopting the growth mindset, practicing assertive clarity mapping.
The actions.
And third, that environmental curation, intentionally seeking supporters and enforcing those protective buffer zones.
So to synthesize the overall message, maybe for you listening, You overcome being underestimated, not by getting stuck in exhausting arguments with doubters,
No.
but by turning your attention inward, rigorously focusing on your own progress, your own proof stacking,
Yeah.
and then turning outward, focusing laser-like on delivering those measurable accomplishments, those MVDs.
Right.
That intentional, focused process, internal work, leading to external proof that's truly unassailable in the long run. And the sources, they really advise us that the ultimate freedom from that feeling of being underestimated comes from self-validation first, followed by action.
Self-validation, then action.
Yeah. So here's a thought maybe to carry with you.
Right.
What small, immediate action, that MVD, that minimum viable demonstration we talked about, what small thing can you take today without asking anyone's permission? Something that proves, even just to yourself initially, one of the existing strengths you documented way back in your competence inventory. Just identify one and go do that.